first, what's the status of the counterplan?
Disposition.
Okay. Then let's talk about these two pieces of evidence that you read on case. They're from the China Digital Times, and if I could just read a little bit of the underlined part, it's talking about the Luoyang Zhonghui High Technology Company, which is the one who's doing the toxic waste dumping. Considering the plan is solar energy in the United States, how would we dump toxic waste from the Luoyang Zhonghui High Tech Company in China?
Well, the second piece of evidence that the one that I read after that actually said that a lot of the solar technology, parts of the solar technology that is produced in the United States is actually made in China. It said that 90% of the solar power that China produces.
Do you mind if I stop you there? That evidence is actually talking about 3 companies, which seems like a pretty low amount to me, some of which are in like Japan and the UK. How does the plan result in that toxic waste?
Well, if it gives an example of companies that are cutting corners. Later in the card, it does say that this is just another example of a company that's cutting corners and cutting costs. A lot of our other cards indicate
so if we prove
very expensive
that the part of the plan text that says we produce solar energy in the United States, if we prove that that just means in the U.S., then the China stuff doesn't apply, right?
No, it still does apply. You still have to prove that you don't dump toxic waste.
Okay, let's talk about the impact to your healthcare disadvantage. It's by Phil Kerpen. He owns this website called crossx.com where people actually buy some of these files and some of his cards on it. Doesn't he have an economic incentive to make some ludicrous claims?
Well, he still has really good qualifications. He's an expert writing about this impact. This is what he knows.
Well, do you think that most experts talk in such apocalyptic terms?
It doesn't matter. He wouldn't. If you have a card saying that Kerpen is just writing for debate files, that's fine. But as of now, he's an expert writing about something.
Okay, for sure. Let's talk about the linked evidence to this disadvantage. It says when Obama needs to pick his battles, and then it gives some examples that aren't underlined. It says reviving the economy is an example of a massive project. I mean, the stimulus bill, didn't that take some political capital?
Yes, it did.
So why does that not non-unique your disadvantage?
Well, because our uniqueness card is from after the stimulus bill happened.
Well, it's actually from 11/22. I'm pretty sure that was before the stimulus bill.
No, that is actually not the uniqueness card that I read. I read a different uniqueness card. I don't know if you have it.
But that uniqueness card doesn't assume the things like the stimulus bill or Iraq, which are examples your link evidence gives.
The fundamental parts of the card are still correct. Healthcare is still, just because the stimulus bill passed doesn't mean that healthcare is not a contentious issue, or that alternative energy is not a contentious
for sure. It seems to me like this Corsi evidence is talking about Iraq civil war going nuclear. Seems to me like there's a lot of alternate causalities to that, like the United States invasion of Iraq. Why didn't that escalate?
Well, our card is just giving us a scenario for what could happen.
Wait, I feel like when the United States invaded Iraq, that probably caused a lot of instability, right? Why didn't that escalate?